Hey, I'm Ryan Scoble and you're with Noisegate. So before I was full-time in audio, I used to be really heavily involved in hospitality. I used to run bars, run live music venues, do a lot of cocktail stuff as well. And one of the venues that I was running back down on the Mornington Peninsula, we actually started doing live music. We had a Thursday night, like a uni night, we have cheap drinks, and we wanted to put on something a little bit more lively. We had a nightclub upstairs and then just general pub stuff happening downstairs. And we had a PA in-house, and because I play music as well, I'd always kind of been involved in audio in some degree, but definitely not in a professional sense, or in like even to a point of being able to pretend that I knew what I was doing, because people could see straight through that bullshit straight away. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what's going on. Yeah. But anyway, as the guy that was running the venue, I kind of had a responsibility to try and set all this stuff up, and I was just constantly frustrated with knowing how bands should sound live, or whether it was a band or an acoustic soloist or anything like that. You know, I knew how it was supposed to sound, but I couldn't achieve it. So I got really frustrated with it. So I decided to invest some time by myself to kind of researching and how to get these things done, and, you know, using whatever small knowledge that I had from being always playing and around music. And I kind of just fell in love with it. I loved interacting with bands. I loved talking about what they were doing and how they were doing it and what they wanted to be doing for their live show. So I studied for a little bit. But by that stage, I was really fortunate enough to being given an opportunity to work in a venue that, you know, had someone in a position that they could teach more as well. Like, I got a lot out of being at uni and learning. But I got even more so actually being there in the field and putting hands on faders, and I, fortunately for me, I had someone that was willing to give me that time, so it was good. Yeah. Stay Gold and Cherry Bar. No, obviously, like, you don't invest so much of yourself into a venue that you want to be running in-house stuff for and making sure the bands are sounding great and everyone's having a great time. Like, the people that buy tickets, they have a sick time. Like, I definitely can't excuse the fact that I wouldn't be here if I didn't find that these venues like Stay Gold and Cherry were two of my favourite places to be, and they are. But outside of those, I mixed at Gorilla in Manchester in the United Kingdom, which was just awesome, so much fun. In terms of Melbourne venues, I just can't go past the old Hi-Fi, Max Watts. I think that's fantastic. The crew that work there are always like on point, really great guys. I've, you know, been fortunate enough to mix there a couple of times now, and I've always had a really great time there. The Corner Hotel. Jimmy Fitzpatrick is one of the best in-house production managers I've come across. He's like super knowledgeable, super friendly and super helpful, which is kind of rare actually, which is really surprising. Fortunately enough, when Cherry kind of had a partnership with some new bookers, there was an overhaul into the system that was at Cherry. And a fantastic guy called Lee, who sadly actually has since passed away, installed a new system in there. He did a lot of work for JPJ Audio, who are pretty iconic in terms of installation work and touring work in Australia. Lee's, you know, was just such a fantastic guy, and he put in a really great rig in there. So at Cherry Bar, we got two PS15s for front of house, with a couple of way loud double 18 subs underneath. Side fills are Quest QM 700s, 15-inch side fills, and then up the front for center fill, there's two QM 12s, which are 12-inch boxes, passive boxes. Front of house desk is a Midas M32. Yeah, and you know, when that whole system came in, I came on board as well, so I worked with Lee to kind of put everything in place and everything like that. And it's fantastic, like for a venue that size. Yeah, and here at Stay Gold, we had Drew Drew, I'm sorry if you listen to this, if I mispronounce your last name, come on man, like choose a better spelling. And Adam K, which is a lot easier, from Gas. They came into the spec and the installation here. So, you know, behind me I've got two D&B Audio Technic V7s, there's two aside. For front of house. Underneath the subs, we've got two D&B D20 subs. For monitoring, we've got 6 Quest QM700s pairs. So there's a pair in center, a pair in stage left, a pair in stage right. Over at drum fill, we've got a Quest Q, I think the model number is QR or QS15, which is basically a double 15-inch tower with a horn, which is, you know, gives you that chesty thump that drummers want from their kick drum and all that kind of stuff. So we've got those on stage for speakers, but the real power and the real sick thing about this venue is that, like, we've got a Digico SD11 sitting out front. Absolutely incredible console for this kind of size venue. You know, we have a capacity of 400 plus guests, you know, so up to about 450. So for the size of the room, the size of the capacity with the kind of production capabilities that we've got, it's incredible. Like you know, our hope is that we're going to be filling in that space for a club-sized venue for international touring acts to be able to come through while they're on a festival tour, do a sideshow, sell out and have a sick time, and make sure that the punters have a sick time. I got in 4 of the JBL Eon 610s, and I'd heard them before, and I think since last time I'd heard them, they've actually done a new release on the build itself, and these things just sound phenomenal. The coverage is great, and for that size of restaurant, like having those 4 speakers in 4 corners of the venue, spreading out the sound is going to mean that, you know, everyone in the restaurant is going to be able to experience, you know, some really nice ambient tunes and all that kind of stuff. The thing that really made me go, these are probably the right speakers, is like the controllability. I don't have to go and buy external controls, like hardware controls or any kind of DSP or processing, and take up valuable bar space by having to put in an EQ or a compressor or anything like that. I can literally, via Bluetooth, control every element of it. And that's in a super reflective space like that, having to be able to, like, being able to individually go to each speaker and say, like, okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of 2.5K out of that because you're a little bit washy, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Super helpful. Talking about the venue specs as well, sorry. This size of venue having its own dedicated side of stage monitors, unheard of. We've got an Allen & Heath SQ6 sitting back there. We're running it at 96K, and like that desk, I think has only been out for about 12 months or maybe a little bit longer. And that desk's sick. It's so sick. It's great for running monitors, and we can run our monitors at 96K. Like, that's pretty cool. Band parents. And it's like, it's so funny because, like, I remember when I was younger in my career, and, you know, when you're starting out, you are literally just starting out. You try everything you can to make it look like you're professional. You try to do your job in a professional way. But at the end of the day, you can't deny the fact that you're not as experienced as other people might be, or as other people would expect you to be. And the people that would expect you to be the most are definitely parents of the bands. Like, if you're working with artists that are really young and still, like, learning their stagecraft and trying really hard, man, like, especially in a smaller capacity venue like, you know, Cherry Bar, because on Tuesdays and Wednesdays we still have live music, but they're not big bands that are booking out and selling out shows or on festival lineups or anything like that. These are young bands that are trying their hand at their craft, and they're passionate and they want to start doing it. So it kind of makes sense that, like, parents would be there as well. And there are other challenges, you know, dealing with higher profile artists that are a little bit needy. That's difficult. To kind of globalize that statement a little bit more, one of the biggest challenges is pleasing everyone. Pleasing everyone to the point of, like, pleasing a venue that you might be operating out of, pleasing a tour manager, pleasing a friend or a parent of the band, and most importantly, pleasing the people that are coming to a show that have paid money. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest pressure. But when someone in the crowd that you don't know at all, like comes up to you and says, thanks so much, that sounded amazing, I had a great time, you're like, that's rad. Because that's the kind of adulation that a fan would say for, the guys on stage, like the people that are playing and performing. Like if they've performed, put on a great show, and they've done everything they can to entertain their crowd, then of course, a fan's gonna go up to them and be like, thank you so much, that meant so much to me, I had a great time, thank you. But for someone to turn around and say that to someone that's supposed to be invisible, man, that's so nice. And like, you don't do it for the adulation or the congratulations or the, oh my God, you're so good. You do it for more than that, but it's really, really great when that does happen. Yeah, so that's a thumbs up. You could get geeky and say like, I like Analogue because you can do certain things that you wouldn't always be able to get away with on a digital desk. Like, for example, I mixed the show through Reside Last Chance, and they've got a little Allen and Heath 16-channel desk there, and I brought in just a 2-channel gate and compressor just so I could just gate out the kick and snare, because they had like just a little analog desk. I knew that I was going to get that gain channel on that kick and the snare, take that gain, I'm just going to turn it all the way up, because on an analog desk I can crunch the absolute hell out of something that's like really transient, like a kick and a snare, and get good crunchy warm tone out of it, and like be like, yeah. And then I could just gate it if it was like, causing any kind of issues with the system in terms of feedback and that. So I like analog desks sometimes for that, but I'm gonna have to say, like, as a 30-year-old engineer working in 2018, man, digital, I have to 100% say digital. It's so convenient. You have so many abilities for each different channel to be able to craft what you need each channel to be to, better influence the whole mix. Yeah, digital. Obviously, coming into this time of year, it's a really busy time of year for venues, it's a really busy time of year for festivals and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be focusing my attention on establishing Stay Gold as a fantastic venue to experience live music, and to engage in it. And I also, because of the kind of bands that we're booking, these are touring level bands that probably have their own techs on board with them. So whether it be front of house or lighting, monitors, doesn't matter. My focus is going to be making this venue reputable as one of the best venues to tour in Melbourne. Like, I want people around the world to be able to say, like, we did a show at this place called Stay Gold in Melbourne. The system was sick. The venue was sick. The in-house guy was lovely. And he got everything done for us. Like, I want this place to have that kind of rep. I think Rainbow Serpent Festival, I'm doing the band stage for that, so I think I'll be looking after either front of house or monitors for that. I've still got to sort that out, but I'll be there at Rainbow Serpent. And then I'm doing a stage for St Kilda Fest. I've got a bit of freelance coming up, working with a band whose singer is my oldest and bestest friend. We've known each other since we were in grade 2, like when we first started discovering this crazy weird thing that makes you feel things called music. It was together. We first discovered kind of music together. So he sings for a band called Hollow World. So I'll be mixing their show as a European fundraiser tour show. They're going to be heading off and doing their tour, so that'll be cool. And there's a couple other things scattered around, but yeah, those are the things I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Good to chat.